She calls someone that she doesn't know very well. She calls Kerry Roberts. But now she has to pivot because someone has seen her in the exact spot that John will be found soon. Whether she's the first one there or somebody else, John will be found. Maybe Lucky missed him. It's a snowstorm. You can't see. But someone's going to find him at some point. So she calls Kerry Roberts. It's no longer she left him at the waterfall. She pivots. And she calls, Kerry, Kerry, Kerry. John's dead. I think he got hit by a plow. Why do you think she chose those words? Why did she choose those words? Because she knew that there was a collision with a large motor vehicle and she had to substitute her 6,000-pound Lexus for another big vehicle. I think he got hit by a plow. And so now we have the introduction of Jenn McCabe and Kerry Roberts. Phone calls that they probably never, ever wanted. A worse nightmare to get a call like that. For what's going to happen, what they're going to see, what they'll never be able to forget. But because the defendant is John O'Keefe's girlfriend, they wake up in the middle of the night, in a blizzard, out of their kindness, their loyalty, their devotion to John O'Keefe. And when she calls them and tells them that she wants them to come out, this soccer mom with a perfectly normal life gets drawn into this whole farce, and she answers that call. She gets out of bed. The spirit and kindness she displays to put herself in that position because someone asked for help, because that's what good people do. Kerry Roberts didn't know Jenn McCabe. They both knew John. They met each other once years before. Kerry Roberts, separately at that time, answers the call, gets out of bed, drives to go help, because they have a common denominator, a common bond, John O'Keefe. And so you hear and see at 5:07 the defendant leaves Meadows. She leaves. And Kaylee is behind waiting. And you see her back up, and Judd Welch just showed you all of those demonstrations where you could see the unsettled snow in the back, and after the bump you can see the pieces missing, no taillight. There's no taillight on the ground, all the white snow. There's no crack, there's no break. It's a nudge. It's a nudge. But the taillight has already been broken because when you look at the video, not one little piece, it's still framed, little angle with the light, the brakes are. You take a look, you'll be able to slow it down. You'll see the exact same piece is missing. Because it's back at Fairview. That's why it's missing. It's not there, it's back at Fairview. And then she leaves at 5:07. She gets to Jenn McCabe's about, 5:35? 28 minutes. It's about a 10-minute ride. Where does she go in 28 minutes? Where does she go? We don't know. We don't have data for that. But we know when she gets to Jenn McCabe's house, she is panicked, frantic, out of her mind, screaming, waking everybody up. Jenn McCabe comes down, can't understand her, going out to the car to try to console her. Why is she so frantic? Why can't she speak? Why can't she say a word? Because John went out and had a drink and fell asleep on a couch? Because John would maybe be cheating on her? What is causing this extraordinary duress? Did she stop somewhere on the way by? Did she just see death? Kerry Roberts comes, take charge kind of person. She pulls him behind. She sees the broken taillight in Jenn McCabe's driveway, and she decides she's going to commandeer this. We're going to back to Meadows. You're going to follow me. Leave the car. I'll drive. At this point, Jenn and Kerry don't know each other. They've only met once. And they go back to Meadows. They obviously don't find John because he's back at 34 Fairview. And then they start their way towards 34 Fairview. They start driving towards 34 Fairview, and they're looking. And you heard from Kerry Roberts, Jenn McCabe, they're looking out the window. They can't see a thing. The snow, the blizzard, the weather, the darkness, they can't see anything. And they're driving, and they decide they're going back to 34 Fairview. And this is remarkable. This is remarkable. When they start their way past towards 34 Fairview, they get close And when they get close, they can see nothing. But the defendant screams, "Stop! Let me out!" And they look around and they say, "What? Let me out! Let me out!" She does not see John O'Keefe. She knows where he is. She knows exactly where he is. She knows where to find him. She knows where to expect to find him because she knows where she left him. She tells us. Slide 13, please.
Driving in Jenn's in the passenger seat. And I described this to everyone, so you probably know this before, but John looked like a buffalo on the prairie. It was just a lawn in a heap that it wasn't a bush or a hydrant or a dog. It was a weird shaped lump at that time in those elements. And I was looking to find him on the side of the road. I was expecting I'd find him.
Thank you. A weird shaped lump in a blizzard, and you equate that to John O'Keefe? A weird shaped lump, not like a bush, and that is John O'Keefe? She tells us she knows where she left John O'Keefe. And so they go over to Mr. O'Keefe, Kerry, and Karen. And she's upset, there's no doubt. I am not for a second trying to deprive her of the unrest and the trauma that is happening at this scene. Doesn't change what happened before, but I appreciate the trauma. And they're trying to help him. And guess what happens when they first move him around 603, 604? Ian Whiffen, data. The cell phone battery gets the cool air, presses on the battery, the cell phone battery drops. Healthcare data, he has not moved since that 22nd, hasn't moved. They start shaking him. You're going to see, when you look at the records, that healthcare data starts to move. He's been there all night. All night. Nobody else. Her. And so when they try to help him, she says something that is remarkable. She says, there's a piece of glass stuck in his nose. And she plucks it out. And she says when she plucks it out, blood spurts out. We'll talk about that in a couple minutes. But remember that. Piece of glass, pulls it out, blood spurts out. That's what she says. As they try to help John, Jenn is calling 911. They would like you to believe there's a conspiracy. That the glass that's found in Mr. O'Keefe's body is somehow from inside the Albert house. The glass, well, you will hear in the clips, if we don't play it, you'll have all the clips with you. She talks about the fact that he took her vodka. He took the glass. She says it. So the Albert house, they don't need to give the glass. He already has the glass with the straw that's later found on the street, by the way. That's what happens on an impact. Things move. The glass comes with him, lands near his body. Debris field moves past him. Shoe, hat, straw. Jenn McCabe makes a call to her sister, and they say because it registers 29 seconds, a Cellbrite record is not the same as a call detail record. There is no evidence. There was a conversation. No lights go on. There's no conspiracy. You can call somebody. It can ring. It can go to voicemail. They have no evidence, none, that there's a conversation between Jenn McCabe, the person who was ripped out of her sleep to come help, and her sister for some grand conspiracy. And so what happens next is traumatic. Kerry Roberts and Jenn McCabe see their best friend prone, lifeless, frozen, on the ground. And they're living this torment because somebody brought them into this. When they're trying to help John, there is not one suggestion from anybody that John ever went into that house. There's no reason to go into that house because John was never in the house. Not one time does anybody say, what time did he leave? I thought he went in there. Not even a whisper of it because it never, ever happened. When they find their friend John, he's not 20 feet off the side of the road like Mr. Rentschler or Mr. Wolf thinks. He's right there by the side of the road, close by the curb. Could we have slide 14, please? You can see there's Kerry Roberts' vehicle, and then on the left, you can see where they're working. Right off the road, that's not 20 feet. That is a clip, a stumble, and a fall. And remember when John O'Keefe fell, there wasn't snow. It was just the beginning of a dusting. It was the cold, hard ground. Remember what Dr. Isaac Wolf told us about cold, hard ground? Causes this type of injury all the time. All the time. If we could go to slide 16, please. Remember the glass in the nose? The glass in the nose. See on the bottom left, that's where the Canton Police Department found the glass that he took from the car, from the waterfall. And then exhibit 195, matching glass. On February 3rd, the matching piece of glass was found on the street. The matching piece of glass, the glass that was found with Mr. O'Keefe, was found on the street. He didn't fall back 8, 10 feet from the road. It broke, and then it shattered and went to the street. I would suggest to you it broke at the time of the collision, and he carried the glass with him, leaving the evidence behind, a trail to memorialize what happened to him that night. Remember the straw? I asked you to take a look at that picture when we're leaving the waterfall at 12:12, the black straw in the drink on the street. Collision, glass, nose, straw, back, hits his head. Can you play the clip on the left, please? 59.
So when John got out of the car at Brian Albert's house, he took my full.
169, please.
So John's laying there, his left and his right, and I approached John from the left. That's where the street is. And he had a piece of glass, like perched on his nose, like just wedged like a splinter would be. And it just pulled it, and as soon as I pulled it, it just gushed blood down his face.
Thank you. 911's called by Jenn McCabe. She's not hiding from anybody. She's trying to help. She's bringing attention to the situation. And when 911 comes, we have first responders. These people are heroes. Some of them, you've heard from some of them, they were born to help people. That's what their life is about. The detail on all their mechanics, getting to work 2 hours early to know the blizzard so that you're there on time so you can help people. These are the core of our community. Mr. Nuttall, this is what he does. He rushes to go help. He's the first person on his knees. He doesn't know this person from anybody. But to him, it's another human being. This is his passion. Katie McLaughlin, first responder. This is not just a profession, it's her life. Yes, she knows Caitlin Albert. Do you think she went there that night at a party and set up a murder and came back? And so they tell you what happens at the scene. Some things hard to remember, some things people will never forget. When you're in a traumatic incident, sometimes it's something you'll never, ever forget. And Timothy Nuttall remembers speaking to the defendant. I hit him. Remember, he's on his knees. What happened? I hit him. I hit him. She is now coming to terms with the moment. Her fear is realized. She hit him. She clipped him. She didn't think he was mortally wounded. She panicked. She can't come to terms with it, so she has to bring people with her to face it. And now she's facing the reality of what she had done. And her emotion is overwhelming. I hit him. I hit him. She speaks to Miss McLaughlin. I hit him. Not did I hit him, could I hit him, perhaps I hit him. That was earlier. Now she's recognizing what she did. I hit him. And these people are making it up. Anybody that says anything adverse or inconsistent or inconvenient is a liar or a perjurer or in on a conspiracy. Or is it that these good people who went there for a total stranger to do their duty to help happen to remember that she admitted what she had done? I know that doesn't reconcile with the boogeyman Proctor and the bad government. I know it doesn't reconcile with no DNA on this piece or that piece. I know it doesn't reconcile with everybody setting up the girl. I know that doesn't reconcile. But the reality is, you have independent, core people who hear her say, I hit him. I hit him. And the attempt is to portray everybody as a liar. But you don't have to rely just on these good people, although you should. You should. You don't have to, because we have a guide, and it's Karen Reed. Slide 17.
So I must have said was, did I never, I've always said I hit him, but did I really say this many times as law enforcement is claiming I said it?
Thank you. I know it doesn't fit the theme, the theory, the story, but she tells you herself. She endorses those good people exactly what they had heard. She tells you herself. She hit him. It's undeniable, it's unmistakable, it's inconvenient. But the truth has a way of seeping up to the daylight. It can be oppressed and suppressed and pushed down and covered and twisted, but it rises. It rises. And it is not a coincidence. There's no coincidence that Mr. Nuttall and Miss McLaughlin hear exactly that. She tells you. And Jenn McCabe, when she's sitting next to or standing next to Miss McLaughlin, she tells you she saw or heard the same thing. Remember what happened to her on the stand when she had the audacity to say, I heard her say it? What happened to her? This woman who never even wanted to leave her home that day, pulled out into a storm to see her best friend dead. What happened when she had the audacity to say that? And now we know that the defendant herself said the same thing. And the funny thing, the ironic thing is, you will see in a photo when Miss McLaughlin, the firefighter, was speaking to the defendant, Miss McCabe was next to her. Miss McCabe was trying to protect her, trying to shut her up. Don't talk, you're upset, stop saying crazy things. The villain of this story was trying to help the defendant from incriminating herself. The irony